Hi, this is Brett Ingram, award-winning entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you 10 free marketing tactics to sell your product or service without advertising. So as a small business, as a solopreneur, as maybe a startup, the challenge that we all face is sort of the chicken and the egg situation, where we need to be able to make sales in order to fund business growth, in order to be able to make more sales and grow and have more of a budget to advertise and promote. But at the same time, we don't have a budget to start with. So it's really difficult to figure out where to begin. How are we able to start to make sales if we don't have the budget, if we know that once we have the budget, we could make more sales? And so we sort of go around and around, and it becomes a very confusing and difficult time for a lot of entrepreneurs who come up with an idea, they have a product, they have a service, and they believe that they're onto something, but they just don't have the financing. And so how are they able to go ahead and make sales anyway? So what are we supposed to do in that kind of a situation? Well, for a solopreneur or a small business with a limited budget, obviously it's really difficult, and we can't pour all of our money into advertising and hope that it works, because we'll burn through any budget we've got really, really fast. So what we can do is we can sort of turn our eye away from sort of the easy and obvious ways to market things and look for things that are a little bit more creative, a little bit more inventive. They might take a little bit more effort and they might take a little bit longer to start working, but ultimately don't cost anything up front. Because if in the beginning our biggest obstacle is budget and finances, then what we want to do is focus on things that don't require big investments in that particular area. We can always shift our approach. Once we get things going, we start to generate a little bit of revenue, we can pump that revenue back in, start running ads and doing things that are more immediately gratifying and immediately sort of results driven. But in the beginning, we just need to be a little bit more creative in order to make it all work. So it's essential that we focus on cost-effective marketing strategies that will maximize our reach and our engagement. So I want to share 10 different methods that we could use. Now, some of this stuff are going to be things that you've probably heard as a general idea. Some of them are not. But what's important to understand is that if we use these approaches, and if we use one of them, that's going to get us some results. If we use two, that's going to get more. If we use all 10, we could get to a point where we're actually generating quite a bit of leverage and quite a bit of momentum starting from absolutely scratch. But it is also important to keep in mind that we need to be a little bit patient, because the fact is these are not going to be instant the way it would be with something like running an ad. We run an ad, we might get clicks the same day, right? Some of these other things are going to take a little bit more time to get going, but what's important to understand is that the trajectory then goes like this, and then when it starts to go up, we're going to reap the benefits of all of that and not ever have to pay and be able to continue to benefit. So in some ways, believe it or not, actually not having a budget is a blessing, because it causes us to get creative. It causes us to get resourceful, and it causes us to do things in a way where we minimize our waste. When we have a big budget, it's easy just to throw money at the problems and hope that it solves it. So let's jump into the list. The first one that we could do is social media marketing. Obviously, everybody knows this one as a general idea. Using platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn to reach our target audience. But it's not just about using that. It's not just about creating an account and being out there and sort of hoping that, maybe if I post a couple of things, it'll work. It's about having a plan. It's about going into it by creating engaging content, figuring out what it is about our product or service that's really differentiates it and makes it stand out, or what problem that it solves that no one else seems to be solving. And we want to focus on that angle as we try to create various content. Now, if we aren't sure about that, or we say, well, geez, my product has 4 or 5 different advantages, I don't really know, we can create segments of content in each of those silos and test it. By putting it all out there, see what gets the most results. See what resonates best with the audience. And once we know that, And then it's going to be very easy to create more of that. And then in terms of trying to build our following with that, what we want to do is interact. We want to find groups, and we want to find people that are connected to our cause, our issue, our product, or service, whatever it is. So proactively, we can join groups. Proactively, we can post content. But the other thing that we can do is we can selectively find who the influencers are in our market and go out there, follow them, and strategically and systematically, so forward and like some of their content, add value to their content anytime that we can. We don't want to ask them for anything right up front, but we can build these relationships by doing this. And eventually we will get noticed as we start to post more and more. This is a long-term strategy. It does take time. So if we're in the process of creating a product or service, it's a great time to start with the social media, because by the time the product or service is ready, we'll be ready to be able to start making sales. That can get us very targeted advertising and help us really boost visibility. And it's also, because it's organic, one of the great things about it is as it starts to grow, that will stay with us and we'll continue to benefit from it. The second thing that we could do is content marketing. This is closely linked but slightly different. This is a blog, a website, a video log, whatever, podcast. And the idea is we're creating content that, again, resonates with our audience, but provides value and sort of subtly sells or pre-sells our product or service. So if we are making a product on, how to build a shed in your backyard, then we can make a series of videos or podcasts or articles all about that. It could be about, the uses for a shed in your backyard, the value of a shed in your backyard, like all the problems that it solves, all the benefits that it creates. And by making all those things and then linking to a free guide for, 10 things you need to know before you build the shed or whatever. And then eventually we have our shed building service or product that we can recommend. But the fact of the matter is, content marketing is a great way to do it too. And it builds us up as an authority in our niche as well, especially if it's high quality content that's relevant. So we want to share any kind of expertise that we've got. We want to answer any common questions that we see. And we want to provide valuable insights to attract and retain customers. Again, this is not a short-term strategy where we're going to post for a week and start making a bunch of sales, but it is one that if we are committed to what our product and service is, and we want to be around a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, these are strategies we want to employ even if we have a budget. Because the fact of the matter is, they're going to get us free, targeted traffic and customers for life. So even if ads go up and down, even if other methods, work or are sporadic, this is going to be consistent for us. The third thing we want to do is email marketing. So we want to immediately start building a list. Even if our product is 6 months away from market, that's fine. What we want to do is we want to put up some sort of a pre-launch or some sort of a list or some sort of a free guide that people get. Think about what people would want to know or what problems that our product is going to solve. Create a very simple, 10 bullet point or 10 step thing that will do that for them and give it away as a freebie. And you can link back to your site, your social profiles and everything else, but by giving their email address, they download the guide for free. What that does is, again, it gets our name in front of them, it gets our information in front of them, and it starts to build our brand and relationship with them. It also builds us an email list. And the brilliance of an email list is it allows you to market to people over and over and over again. So once you have their permission, you can send out regular newsletters, send out regular updates, and you can add promotional offers in there. So what's brilliant about that is the bigger your email list grows and the more targeted it is, the more effective it's going to be, especially if you're providing good content. Email marketing is a super effective way, and despite conventional wisdom, it's actually growing. Over the next 3 years, it's supposed to reach something like $18 billion in revenue, up from, I think, about $12 billion right now. So email marketing is anything but dead, and in fact, it's actually growing and becoming more effective. It's just also becoming more challenging with all the rules. So we have to be careful that we follow that stuff. But that said, very, very effective way to generate marketing. And once we've got their names on in our emails in our list, we can market to them at a very, very cost-effective rate over and over again, and they're targeted prospects. A fourth thing that we can do is networking. And we can attend industry events, join online communities, and participate in relevant forums or groups. Again, these are strategies that are going to have far-reaching consequences, but they aren't going to necessarily pay off immediately. That's okay. I remember when I was starting in digital marketing, we were all sort of behind our computers and doing our own things and corresponding by Skype. And they started to run some live events. And I had a bunch of people trying to convince me to go to a live event. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to spend the money on the airfare, spend the money on the hotel. I got to work around, like, care for my kids because my wife works also. So I'm like, what? This is hard. I don't know. I mean, if I just stay here and work, I can get more done. I finally took the plunge and I went to my first event. And what I realized when I got there is that I made a mistake not doing it sooner. There's no replacement, none, for face-to-face meetings with people that are in your industry, that are in your target customer group, that are in your niche, whatever it is, because the fact of the matter is, once you establish a relationship face-to-face, it brings everything to a whole new level. Also, you start to get realizations and you start to see what other people are doing and you start to see common problems and solutions to those. Everyone's sharing information about what's working for them. It's a fantastic experience to be involved in, whether it is a Chamber of Commerce meeting for an hour on a Tuesday night, or whether it's a 3-day seminar down in Florida at a hotel or out in Vegas. It doesn't matter. Wherever your community, wherever your tribe, wherever your prospects or your marketplace, the people that are in your industry, other vendors and businesses congregate, that's where we want to go, because that is going to be a great source of connections. It's going to be a great source of information, inspiration, and everything else. And it's going to dovetail brilliantly into a couple of things we're about to talk about. So we want to establish relationships. It's not enough to just go to these things. We want to meet other professionals and potential customers so we can expand our network and we can generate leads. And so if we aren't sure who we want to meet, we want to take a look at who the various people are there and figure out as well as we can who the ones are that are in our niche that we want to really get close to. Fifth thing that we can do is search engine optimization. There's a lot of rumors now about, SEO is dead because of AI and all this other stuff. It's all nonsense. SEO is the only way that I've done my podcast, and in the course of 8 months, just about built it to 1 million downloads. We're almost about to cross 1 million downloads. I've done zero advertising. I've done zero anything else. It's all search engine optimization. 100% alive and well. Tales of its death have been greatly exaggerated, to coin a phrase. So search engine optimization, we want to optimize our website for search engines. And also if we do YouTube, we can optimize our YouTube channel as well, believe it or not, for search engines to improve our visibility in organic search results. The value of this and the benefit of this is amazing, because what happens is we're not only using it to generate traffic when we get listed on one of the high pages, we're using it to generate targeted traffic. People are going in and searching for the very thing that we are offering and that we're ranking for. So when they see us in the search results and they click through, the reason search engine traffic is so highly sought after is because it isn't just general traffic. It's free and it's highly targeted. A lot of times motivated traffic, people that are ready to buy, people that are ready to make a decision. So we want to focus on keyword research, on-page optimization, create high-quality shareable content, and we want to get that stuff going so we have some SEO going as well. Again, that's probably a 6-month lead time. So that isn't something that we're going to be able to start today and reap the benefits of tomorrow. But if we start to do it, when I first was doing the podcast, we were doing SEO, I was doing a lot of work, but I wasn't seeing a lot of results. It took a few months to catch on, and it's gotten progressively better and better and better. A sixth thing that we want to do and engage in right away, especially if we have a live product that's available for sale, is referral programs. We want to encourage our satisfied customers to refer their friends and family to our business by offering them incentives or discounts for successful referrals, because word of mouth advertising can be incredibly powerful. And by the way, the most effective way of selling anything else. Another thing or way to use this creatively is, even if we don't have the product or service ready yet, if we're giving away a freebie, like a free guide or a free download, we could put a viral sharing thing after they download it that says, listen, if you want the next level of this, or if you want the video version of this, or you want access to our private community, share this with 3 other people. And when you do the share, and there are tools that will allow you to track that. And once you've shared it with those 3 people, we're going to give you free access to this as well. This way you can start to build it virally without needing to spend any money on that promotion. A 7th thing we want to do, and this is actually one of my favorites, is collaborations and partnerships. It's amazing the inertia that people have about starting up collaborations or partnerships and how difficult they think it's going to be. In reality, if you find someone where your needs align and there's something you can offer each other, setting up collaborations and partnerships is actually really easy. It's actually really fast, and the results we can get from it can actually be pretty exponential and pretty remarkable. So what we want to do is we want to find complementary businesses. If we have a lawn mowing service, then what we want to do is we want to go to, the weed and tick guys, or the fertilizer guys, or, whoever else that's going to be selling something, that's similar, the garden store, any of these other things. We want to see if we could strike up a partnership where we'll send business their way if they send it our way. This works excellent in the online world as well. If we have a business that sells a particular thing, and our guide would be great for a particular subset of users, we can offer an affiliate commission type situation to somebody as a partner, or we can do a swap where every time they ship an order, or every time on their thank you page, if you put an ad or an article for our thing, or you run our banner on your page, or send out a PS or a footnote in your emails that you send out with our products and services, we'll track all that, we'll give you a percentage, or we'll reciprocate and do the same thing. Sky is the limit, and imagination is the only restriction when it comes to partnerships. There's so many different ways to do JVs. It's amazing. And joint venture partnerships can take your business to whole new heights really, really quickly. It's one of the best ways to achieve market penetration with a particular new product or service. So we can cross-promote each other. We can, incentivize each other in different ways, but it lets us tap into a larger audience, and oftentimes a preset audience that already has name recognition with this other brand. So that is what makes it super, super effective. An 8th thing that we can do is local marketing. If we operate locally, or even if we don't, if our products can be used locally and we want to generate some goodwill, we can leverage local SEO tactics, but we can also go to local businesses and local companies and local stores, and we can sponsor local events, show up at local events, sponsor teams. We can participate in community activities. Doing any of these kinds of things, especially if it isn't always necessarily business related first, if it's something where there's a community activity where we know our target market's going to be there and we volunteer, we're going to get to know people, but we're also going to generate a lot of goodwill. And we're not doing it in a standoffish way where people are going to feel like they're being sold anything. All we're doing is establishing a relationship and trust, and the rest of it will come later. But it's a highly effective marketing strategy. A 9th thing that we can do that generally is under the radar for a lot of people, but it's surprisingly effective, is do-it-yourself public relations. There are tons of media outlets out there that need stories. So if there's any story about your business, you publish your 250th podcast episode, for example, wink, wink. You launched a new product. You have anything that's newsworthy that isn't just a flat out straight promotion. News outlets will pick up on that because they're looking for information. Now there are services that will do this for you. You spend a couple $100. They'll take your story, they'll even write it for you, and then they'll send it out to hundreds of media outlets across the country. So this is very effective for online or businesses that have a nationwide reach. It's a little less effective, the global one or the national one, if you're just a local business. But the PR is still good for you because then you get the ability to say that you were seen on those particular news outlets. You also will get some organic reach from that. And if you're being published in local news, if you have a local business, you want to reach out to your local newspapers and do your own PR. You'd be surprised. People think that when someone writes an article, they do the research, they go find somebody, and then they tell this great story. Oftentimes, the business owner themselves was the ones that reached out. And they said to the newspaper, hey, listen, if you have a reporter that needs a story, I've got this awesome thing that I'm going to be doing, and we're donating 10% to Wounded Warriors or whatever we're doing. They're going to be more than happy to send a reporter out there to talk to you for half an hour and write a story. And when they do that, you're going to get all that instant press as soon as the story runs. So you could do that locally, or you could do it nationally. And if you just do a search, there are databases of this where you could submit your own articles that you write, 250 words, boom. A couple weeks later, it's published, and it's amazing. So that's a really underutilized way to be able to pitch stories about your business or products. It builds up your reputation, it builds up your brand, it builds up your expertise, but it also does it in a way where it sort of promotes you, but it's not just a pure shameless promotion where people are going to be turned off by it feeling like they're being sold. Very, very effective. And the 10th thing we can do is customer engagement and retention. We could ask for referrals, but we can also focus on providing exceptional customer service and making sure that every customer walks out of our business with us feeling great. So we can be very engaged in the process and make sure that they're happy. Survey them, ask them, and engage them. Make sure that they're super happy, because happy customers are much more likely to become repeat buyers and to recommend our business to others. So if we combine all these strategies together, and we could start with one or two and then consistently add other ones, but if we combine them all together and consistently monitor their performance and adjust, we can effectively market any product or service on a limited to almost no budget and drive growth for our solopreneurship or small business. So the takeaway here is that one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is how to market and promote in order to make sales in the very beginning. With a limited budget, it's obviously very hard to spend money on promotion. But unless we promote, we can't make sales that fuel the revenue and growth. By getting creative, resourceful, and by putting in some effort, we can bootstrap our way to sales and growth without spending a lot. Now, it's important to be persistent and patient, because in general, the trade-off with free marketing methods is that instead of money, they do cost a little bit of time, and they can take a little bit of time to gain momentum. But if we begin with this understanding and a will to make it happen, any great product or service can make sales and grow even when starting out with no budget.